Yet if I'm a Kwaba de Labdi TV, a best and number channel is one. Mobile hit at one subscribe, but like I shall my one pen semi be Tisu any be LT Messom Bajam and Agenia Boromo Tentamakuti, someone in the Utrago. For and Sama Okudzeto Ablakwa. Abishegu hono etifo some benyan to wasie na motie nsem ya mebobo achem no pay because ensem papa de beto dwa utumi se eno na ekoso omam kata hye ne proye ni expose bia akame se wode aba abonten a akufado entu ho anamo because papa no ho ebon mo bi na eno no de nsem bi atutu dwa efa Kesi Agyabeng ho a nana no danko akufado ede be national prosecutor no kame se papa no ontimi ni nidwuma onye independent na nsem no ne aboabo no ye de ebrem na ye momram ye nkutie Okudzeto Ablakwa ye ba de ka ho bia en beba abedom.
I'm on all fours with the Right Honorable Speaker. I totally agree with him. I've always held that view. I mean, my honest position is that you don't need a duplication of the Attorney General's office if you really want to fight corruption. The whole rationale for creating the office of the Special Prosecutor was that they wanted to have an independent person and body or institution to fight corruption, and that they didn't want a minister of justice and an attorney general who is sitting in cabinet with colleague ministers, and so will find it difficult in dealing with them if they are errant or if they engage in corrupt practices, and they didn't want somebody who will also be the principal advisor to the president and who would be taking instructions from the president and who is politically tainted. But really, if you look at how the law eventually was fashioned out, this is the president who is still making the appointment, and the OSP does not really have that independence. The only difference is that he's not a minister. But if you look at the fact that he still will need the blessings of the Attorney General to proceed, it's really a superfluous creation. And I have always said that the fight against corruption, it all boils down to leadership. It's about the commander-in-chief. Is the commander-in-chief committed? Is the commander-in-chief going to stay away and allow an attorney general to work? So if you have a truly no-nonsense president who has a no-nonsense attitude towards corruption, who would not interfere whatsoever. I mean, we saw Amidu's revelations, how the president interfered when he was doing his corruption risk assessment in the deal, the infamous deal, and how he had to describe the president as the mother serpent of corruption because he did everything to frustrate the former special prosecutor and to shield his appointees, who were largely his family members. So when you have a president who that is his mindset, that is his approach, and the whole fight against corruption is about how do I target my political opponents? I see no evil, hear no evil, feel no evil when corruption is happening under my watch, during my regime, during my tenure. I only see corruption or perceived corruption of the past, and it becomes a witch hunt. I am not against going after political opponents who have questions to answer or looking as far back as you want to. You can decide to go even as far back as independence or the pre-colonial era to fight corruption, to see what you can salvage or retrieve for Ghana, for all of us. I mean, I welcome any such, endeavor. But that must not go on without looking at corruption taking place now, current corruption. Actually, when you fight current corruption, that is what even gives you the credibility. And when you go after opponents, when you go far back into time, people will come full cycle, this OSP experiment hasn't worked. It's all about leadership. And I recall that under President Mahama, see how President Mahama made sure that he didn't interfere, even when his appointees came up for questioning. He himself had to fire some, you recall. I just don't want to mention names, but everybody knows. You know how the former President Mahama dealt with these matters. He was very upfront about it. So far, probably apart from the President Kufuor era, even that you will argue that Malam Issa was not from the president's stock in terms of the political tradition. Malam Issa had come in from the PNC. He was not an NPP member. He was only appointed by President Kufuor. Since that time, it's only under President Mahama that we have seen people right from the likes of the Honorable Abuga Pele. I don't want to remind him and his constituents of all what he went through. Then the national service prosecutions that took place. I mean, these were all appointees of President Mahama, and you could see that he was committed to making sure that a certain culture does not emerge where his appointees think that you can loot and get away with it. You know, but since that time, I mean, look at all the cases of corruption. I mean, I have revealed so many instances of corruption. I mean, so many. I mean, many Ghanaians have even lost count. When did you ever hear the president take on his own people? I mean, look at the recent one when Kissi was exposed, and because of the public outreach, she had to resign. I mean, just reflect on that. She wasn't fired. The president gave her all the latitude, all the luxury of time to resign on her own terms. And look at the response the president issued. It was like, you know, a reply to a love letter, you know, and virtually, you know, whitewashing her, telling her that, oh, with time, you'll be vindicated, you know. So you have a president who has gained notoriety as a clearing agent, a president who everybody knows that he will, you know, engage in hook or crook tactics to protect his own. That is not how you fight corruption. So if you have this president, if you have this superstructure, no matter your creation, whether it's OSP, MFP, URM, whatever you call it, it won't work. So I would say, and I submit strongly, that let us elect a leader who truly is committed to fighting corruption, who will start from home, from within, who will not virtually endorse corruption and let the whole world know that, oh, as for this time, even if you report us, even if you expose us, all I have to do is run to the boss for protection. The president will protect me and nothing will happen. So I'm not surprised that all the high hopes that this OSP office had has fizzled, and you've heard the OSP himself lament about how everywhere he turns, he's not getting any help. He feels like a loner. The last he addressed the country at that press conference, he cut a very sad and lonely image. I mean, many people wept for him. You know, he himself was almost in tears. You know, I'm sure he clearly regrets that he took on him. And he thought, and he himself has said that publicly, that he thought that there was some genuineness about the fight against corruption. I mean, you remember what the president Akufo-Addo said as candidate about the Anas principle. I agree with Dr. Kobe Mensah, who says that the Anas principle has now become the Amas principle, where people are just amassing wealth, you know. So, really, this OSP experiment hasn't worked. I think that it should be scrapped. And look, if the president is truly squeaky clean, no nonsense, he is determined to fight corruption, he will make sure that, first of all, who he appoints as Attorney General, it wouldn't matter that you belong to the same party or you will all sitting at cabinet. I mean, when you are invited to public office, it's not some, calling to come and join a cabal to raid a country, rape a country, to loot. So it's just about leadership, the getting the right president who will appoint the right attorney general. And I don't see what should stop any president from fighting corruption. I mean, look at the period of Professor Mills. Everybody knew that Professor Mills is no nonsense. Look at his own surprise visits. Look at how he even encouraged. I mean, he's the president who we all know even partnered, was not scared to partner with ANAS, another investigative journalist, to go after corrupt officials. See what the collaboration in the cocoa sector at the ports, to expose wrongdoing, malfeasance, and make sure all of that is punished. So look, it's all about leadership. It's all about who is president and what the president does. I don't want to recall the history of President Rawlings. You remember how his own people, even his cousin, many people forget that his cousin faced firing squad in the heady days of the PNDC. That is how you fight corruption, when even family members are not allowed. I mean, here we are. We all know what is going on. Those who are building restaurants, who have taken over shops at the airport. I mean, so if the president and his daughters and family members are having a field day, amassing all they can, I mean, who is going to check who? So please,
the honorable, that also suggests that it is this history that you just cited, and the fact that even the person who made a promise may not be trusted to not interfere, that we've set up this office of special prosecutor. And so far, the Attorney General has not prevented the office of special prosecutor from using prosecutorial powers. He's been treated as an independent office, and that he shouldn't have any difficulty because there's not been that attempt to stop him from doing his job, that they should be able to do their job without complaining.
Those who say that, I will empathize with them, that they don't have the full facts. Look, we sit in Parliament. Do you know that the Office of Special Prosecutor, all of them there, they went more than a year without payment? They were not being paid.
No pay.
No pay.
For a whole year.
Yes.
The OSP and his and the people who work with him.
And yes, people who are supposed to fight corruption.
Really?
They had a banter with the Ministry of Finance. When it came to attention in Parliament, we were shocked. A whole year. And these are people you are sending to go and fight corruption. And you are deliberately making them susceptible. So, you see, when the leader, I come back to leadership, when the leadership is not committed, they will so on paper, on the surface, to the public, oh, he set up an independent body, he wants to fight corruption, but he knows what he's doing. When you staff the Office of Resources, you are not paying them salaries. You don't pay them. The staff that they ask for years, even as we speak, the staff is one of the most understaffed and under-resourced institutions. So, look, when there's no commitment, there's no commitment. I am telling you for a fact that the OSP, his deputy, the staff there, they went more than a year without salaries. So the people you say go and catch the thieves, go and fight corruption, they themselves are hungry. They are deliberately made hungry, made vulnerable, so that when they go, they can also think about how to survive. I mean, it's a big joke.
Well, having said that, I want to move on to one other issue which you have been interested in, because I'll come back to an issue of priority you've raised that has to do with payments made to GPGC. But before we get there, one other issue you raised yesterday very passionately has to do with, I didn't know that. I was hearing that for the first time, that you said a memo was issued in June where all hospitals are now supposed to pay their electricity bills?
Yes. I can confirm to you that on the blind side of Parliament, on the blind side of the Ghanaian people. This government, in an unprecedented move, decided that because we are in difficult times, which is their creation, I must emphasize, when they were looting and mismanaging the economy, chartering 20,000 euros an hour jets, building the biggest man-made hole in the world for 339 million cedis with our taxes. And some of us warned them. They didn't listen. Now the chickens have come home to roost, and they are going after everybody, including human lives. So in June this year, hospital administrators were summoned and told that the Ministry of Finance can no longer pay their light bills and that they have to pay themselves. The government did not even clear arrears that were in the system and told them that they are on their own. And by end of June, that same month, they started receiving bills that they must pay. And as I said in Parliament yesterday, I've investigated this matter thoroughly. At the Bator Catholic Hospital, they have since been paying 115,000. It started at 57,000. You know that utility tariffs have been going up. So now they are paying 115,000 Ghana cedis monthly. Sometimes the whole IGF that they get, their own internal generated funds, their creativity, and all, it doesn't even get to 100,000. And yet they must pay these bills, else they will be disconnected.
115,000 a month.
Yes, a month. Yes.
That's the bill of the Bator, the hospital.
The Bator Catholic Hospital, and we all know that that is the only, and it's a hospital that serves a wide catchment area, apart from North Town,
yes.
Because of their expertise in Ops and Gynae and in other fields. You know, people from Sugakope, Adidoma, Shai Osudoku, Ashaiman, Tema, all the way to even, a flower across the border, Togo, Benin. It's a celebrated hospital.
Yeah.
And because of their very low charges as well. I mean, a lot of women will tell you that it's the best place if you want to, take care of a lot of gynecological issues. So it is most shocking that for hospitals which have always been exempted, because you see, there are the essential services category. So you have educational institutions, you have ministries, you have the military, the barracks, you have the police, you have hospitals. That category have always been exempted. How is it? How did it happen that hospitals have now been shockingly, callously removed from this exemption list? And yesterday, our colleague in Tyne, the Tyne MP, lamented about how the Tyne District Hospital, built by former President Mahama at $37 million, which serves that entire catchment area from Tyne all the way, to Kintampo, all of those in that enclave. The ECG, can you believe that, had the effrontery, the heartlessness to disconnect their power because they say they owe. A few weeks ago, as I was doing my research, Navrongo Hospital was also disconnected for days. As I was doing my research, I also came by the fact that now some hospitals are just passing on the cost of electricity, and you can't blame them, because if the IGF cannot be adequate, if their internally generated funds cannot help them, they just have to pass it on. So in Parliament yesterday, I read a receipt from Princess Marie Children's Hospital, where they just transferred the cost. And on the receipt, you see usage of electricity bill, 30 cedis. They just pass it on. And you can't blame the hospital. So it is clear to me that now we don't really have health insurance. A worse form of cash and carry is back. because hospitals that have always been exempted are no longer exempted. I mean, the level of callousness. And you see, we are talking about where we all go to survive. I mean, the right to life is so sacrosanct. Imagine you are being operated upon and power is disconnected. I mean, just imagine, without notice. Imagine babies, preterm babies who are in incubators, and the power is just turned off like that. Imagine people on oxygen, and the power is just turned off. All these medicines, medications, drugs that are stored in refrigerators under very special conditions because they must be at a certain temperature. The lights are disconnected, electricity is taken away, and all those medicines get damaged. I mean, who came up with this policy in June this year? Who? And yet, whilst we say that there is no money to take care of hospitals, to preserve the right to life, ECG is donating motorbikes to the Ghana Police Service. Incredible. This government, once it says that it has no money, is paying a whopping 230.5 million Ghana cedis only a few days ago in a judgment debt that they have created. I mean, you just wonder what is going on. And we are not angry in this country. We are not angry enough. These people have just taken us for granted, and we are not angry enough.
And it seems raising this has gotten the man sitting in the seat of speaker at the time when you raised this to give some directives. We understand they said the health committee of parliament should work with the energy health ministry to try to resolve the issue. Well, what do you think will be a better resolution to this matter to ensure that hospitals do not now have to pass on electricity bills to people who go to the hospital, to patients?
The second deputy speaker in the chair, I have enormous respect for him. He did his best under the circumstances, and I think that it's a good start to direct the Committee of Health to look into the matter, because this was done on the blind side of everybody. And then to ask the ministers for health and energy to meet immediately and resolve this issue. But in as much as I acknowledge those steps, I think that immediately all of us must mount pressure for the president, for cabinet to reverse this decision. This callous killer decision, as I call it, it's a killer policy. Killer policy. And look, it can happen to anyone. You can be traveling, you have an accident, the nearest hospital, they rush you there, they say they have been disconnected. Or they start working on you, they start operating on you, and they disconnect. I mean, it can happen to any of us. I mean, it is the height of callousness, wickedness. Look, as I speak to you, the last time health insurance was paid is May this year. May. So you ask these hospitals that they should take care of patients on credit, that you pay them later. You cannot give them their health insurance. You cannot be up to date. Some are owed 5 months, 6 months, 7 months. And then you say that they should pay their own utilities. How should they do that? Look, and you see, sometimes even the lack of I mean, if you are not careful, they'll say you are using insulting words. But you see, can't even common sense prevail so that this policy will have said that, okay, even if the bills have become so high, can we hive off certain places? Probably if it's a big hospital and there are bungalows, can we say that, okay, fix prepaid there? If there are some maybe provision stores, shops in the hospitals, even though I don't see that at the Batokale Hospital and a lot of hospitals, but non-essential areas, I don't mind even the OPD, fix a prepaid meter or something, but leave out the theaters, leave out the labs, you know, the pediatric centers where babies will be inside incubators. Leave those areas out. I mean, nobody, just blanket. Is it because they jet out of the country for medical attention, so they don't care what is happening in Ghana? I mean, you just can't believe what is going on. You just can't believe it.
Radio Gold.
So, for you, immediately, that particular policy should be reversed.
It has to be reversed immediately. And I have to be honest with you, I'm disappointed that those in the sector have kept quiet all these months.
Yeah, I'm even surprised myself.
Yeah, because since June this year, and I'm surprised the Ghana Medical Association, I mean, all these hospital administrators, I mean, sometimes you wonder what this government has done to various groups, that I don't see an NDC government surviving this new policy for even 1 week, even 3 days. All hell will break loose. So I'm surprised.